SwissBorg is the official partner of my channel where you can buy, sell, hold, and more importantly stake your cryptocurrencies. You can even earn yield on your stablecoins. Sign up with my link and you'll earn up to $100 worth of their native token CHSB just for depositing €50 worth of crypto. SwissBorg. Good morning everybody, bit of a late start. It is half term. I am back at my house. I do have one 5-year-old running around this house somewhere, but everything should be fine, I assume. So let's get started. We'll start with Euro, shall we? I know it's boring, but it's better to get the boring stuff out of the way so we can look at Bitcoin afterwards and treat ourselves. So this is, like, we're looking at things on the 4-hourly here. So we've got an incoming death cross on the exponentials, already a confirmed death cross on the simple moving averages. These things often like to get tested, but if it were to get tested, the upside range is going to be for the Euro, I would say no more than... Well, I'd say no more than. No, I'll say 107.5. If we were to break above there, which we can, golden and crosses and death crosses don't mean everything, then yeah, we'd have pretty decent continuation above 105 to 108, probably back up to our previous ranges and beyond. Again, the fundamentals suit further upside continuation, generally speaking, but doesn't have to happen. The general direction on the shorter term timeframes for the Euro says maybe a little bit further up. Again, you've already seen the golden cross retest here on the simples. We haven't got the death cross on the exponentials, which are my favourite, and so maybe we shouldn't really think about this as a major area of rejection yet, although they are moving averages of significance. The 4-hourly Bollinger Band Centre, we are still closing above. We've been supported above that since we reclaimed it, so there is chance that this can actually move up from here. Again, you know, it's at the moment it's developing in front of our eyes. There's no clear setup out on this Euro right now, to be honest with you. It is more or less a sideways kind of vibe. Closure below 107 would most likely have continuation, completing the death cross on the exponentials shortly after, and we'd find our way down to that holy grail, which is around that 105 area. It might be a little higher now as the 200 exponential has been creeping up bit by bit. Yeah, so we're talking 105.2 on the Euro. And again, what would you expect to see on the Dixie? The exact opposite. So we've got an incoming golden cross on the 4-hourlies now being supported above all these. We're getting above the Bollinger Band on the 4-hourly too, so the Dixie looks like it wants to move up. Remember, the Euro and the Dixie aren't perfectly correlated. The Euro is the biggest mover of the Dixie, but you got the Japanese yen, Bank of Japan, appear to be in a bit of a tricky spot, to be honest with you. I don't know if you pay attention to all that, but they've got a new guy to come and sort things out, and he's a bit of a brutal guy. So there is likely to be changes in the way that the Japanese yen is going to move. Their balance sheet is inordinately large. It's massive, and he's going to start to reduce it. So with that might actually continue to see the yen fall, which would mean that the dollar versus the yen rise, which means that would affect the Dixie, and the Dixie would continue to go up. So that is likely to be the case for the Japanese yen, which again is a large component to the Dixie. So trying to correlate the Euro with the Dixie is good, and it works for the most part. As you can see, they are the inverse charts, but what's going on with the yen is likely to impact the Dixie, which again is likely to impact stocks and indices. We will just look at the S&P. So the S&P is still trying to trend up within this this move back up to its previous local high of around about 4,170, we'll call it. Breaking above there should be plain sailing, to be honest with you, all the way up towards this 4,300 zone, where I would actually at that point expect to see a bit more of a significant rejection at that point, and that would likely correlate with Bitcoin and the way that the Dixie is looking, and we'll see where the Euro is at that point. So I think we're going to see a little further upside on stocks and Bitcoin until we start to see the major Forex situation unfold. Like I say, Bank of Japan is it's quite a large component of that. Maybe I'll make a video on that. I imagine that most people will be bored out of their absolute minds watching something like that. But all we really need to know in summary is that there is likely to be some fundamental changes to the way that the Bank of Japan operate, and with that is likely to, I'm pretty sure it's going to tank the yen further than it already has tanked, which would appear on the face of it dollar strength in the form of Dixie. Right. Let's go to the Holy Grail, which is our friend Bitcoin. So Bitcoin doing very well. Remember, we bought this dip. It was only a dip. It can still dip more. Absolutely can still dip more. This daily is still below the 10 exponential where we found a rejection yesterday. It was a good move from the 200 to the 10. That was a good move. So far, didn't reclaim it. So until we reclaim these moving averages, and again, you know, we're above the 200, which is fine. That's a building block. That's good. That's where we're supposed to be. That's supposed to be below us. That's a good start. But until we start to reclaim these higher term moving averages, it's going to be difficult to assume a trend form on this daily, given what we're seeing. Literally until we start to reclaim at the 10 and definitely the 20, which is downtrending at the moment, suggesting that we will likely continue in a downtrend, or should we just say consolidation. I'd be surprised to see a powerful move unless it was fundamentally driven above 22,750. Like I said, I'm not trying to be a party pooper here. This is just trend and momentum based. But what I should say is the momentum has broken out of this downwards trend, so we can still come down to retest lower zones. That's fine, and we would see that on the RSI as well before we bounce back up. The money flow index is trickling out, so this looks much more like a normal healthy consolidation. We were waiting for something like this for a little while as we had the bearish divergence from here to here, here to here, and here to here. So 3 drives and you're out. It's normally the easiest way to play, and a consolidation has been required on this for quite a little while. Basically quite overheated, as you can all imagine. It definitely was. The money flow index was reading all the way up here at a 96, which historically is one of the largest we've had ever on this chart, which was the second highest money flow index read. The only one prior to that was the bubble pop in 2017. The absolute all-time high of the bull market previous to last. There's probably an easy way to say that, but that's as good as I can do today. So let's take this down to a 4-hourly just to see if the smaller term timeframes are giving us any clues as to what's going on right now. So no bearish divergence, no nothing like that. Everything's looking reasonably good. So we're trending above almost all major moving averages. We found what looks like a consolidation on this last move up, which was given to us yesterday. That's okay. That's all okay. We're below the cloud, so no pump signals are going to be generated anytime soon until we reclaim these areas, which is going to be back up to our previous highs at this rate, or at least over this next week, 22,500, which again is it's a nice flat level. Increments of $1,000 up and down seems to be the support and resistance for the most part, and again they are flat numbers, and that often helps for assets like Bitcoin. It's always enjoyed a flat number. There's not really any clues outside of the RSI breakout. We've got the MACD toying with a crossing above the 0 point, which could lead to a further move up. So I would be a little I wouldn't be too optimistic about the moves right now. Any big move to the up. At this current moment, we are still below these areas, so I'm not a big fan until we, I'd say close. It would have to be a daily, really. It'd have to be a daily close above this 10 exponential, and even then, it would only offer us a move up to around 22,700 or so. But closures above 22,700, I actually think at that point we go on to make a new local high. Maybe we reach that holy grail of the death cross retest, or the incoming death cross retest. On the exponentials, which hasn't yet happened. We have had a death cross confirmed though on the simples. So there you have it. There's your death cross. First one in history taking place now on Bitcoin, on Bitcoin's weekly. So it's never happened before, ever. And we don't know the impact of it. We did backtest this on the NASDAQ maybe a month or two ago, a little while ago, as we saw that this is almost an inevitability. So that is a death cross that we've seen. And what we found on the NASDAQ is that when you backtested the death crosses on a weekly, half the time it had continuation, the other half the time the low was already in. So what does that give you? 50-50. So it basically means nothing, at least for the NASDAQ. So what does it mean for Bitcoin? Well, it's never happened before, so we don't know. So it's not a setup or a signal that we can say, well, this happened last time. We don't know what's going to happen this time because it's never happened before. To be fair, I've seen golden crosses and stuff like that on weeklies for crypto several times in the last bull market. And they, to be fair with you, the majority of the move had already played out, and I'm not saying it marked anything. There's such a lagging indicator. Simple moving averages are such a lagging indicator on any chart, but especially something like crypto, which is so volatile and vicious with price action. That, to be fair, I would probably just say it's just something to observe. It kind of means nothing at the moment. It generally means continuation as far as a chart is concerned in that general direction. That's what it would suggest. But we've got nothing to suggest that it's definitely going to do that. And even the Nasdaq was a 50-50 when you looked at it historically. So we'll just admire it for what it is. Oh, it's two moving averages, two different colours crossing. How pretty. That's what we'll look at. But what I would say, though, is that whether you're bullish or bearish on golden crosses or death crosses, they do like to get retested. That's pretty standard. That is pretty normal. I would probably prefer, as I always do, to look at exponential moving averages anyway. And so far, we've not got that death cross. So it's just something to think about, but not too much, because there's nothing really to. The thoughts on that are very limited because there's nothing to measure it by. So that might not feel like a very useful video, but in summary, if you've made it this far, I think that we're likely to, I know it sounds silly given all this nonsense that I've just spat out, but it's mostly thinking about Forex and stocks and how that will affect crypto. I think we're probably going to have another run up to a new high, maybe up into the 24s towards 25. I think that's most likely if Forex continues to look this way, but there's no guarantees. I think that is most likely. However, I think we will probably have a greater pullback after a next big move up. So whether you want to call it a fake out, a bull trap, or whatever, I think that's most likely. Not because Bitcoin wants that. Bitcoin is just, one thing. It looks like that is going to be the case for the S&P and maybe Euro and Dixie. So whenever and if we do go up to the next major level, 25 or maybe beyond, just be careful that might be the equivalent of when we reached 14,000 over the summer of 2019, when everybody got very excited that the bull market had begun. So we might be looking at this portion around here, more or less. This could be what we're at right now. So we've had a big run, a continuation of that run, another big run, a decent pullback, and then we might have something like this. Again, I'm not going to draw a fractal. There's no point in me doing that. If anything, it is just an idea of the psychology of what's going on right now, rather than trying to match the price action. That wouldn't surprise me at all. And at that stage, given the Dixie being quite low, and S&P actually having a very serious, long-lasting run, to be honest with you, given that everyone thought it was going to keep going down and down and down and down, we might enter into a period of long drawn-out consolidation. And that's fine, because that is normal and that's healthy, that's fine. And I think that's what we might end up seeing. So it would not surprise me to see that sort of move take place on Bitcoin and stocks and Euro, and we have the inverse thing take place on Dixie. So we have a dollar move, which we have been touting for a little while anyway. So just like it's difficult to think of an analogy, really. I've not had enough coffee for that, but I mean, this is normal. Moves up and moves down often go on longer than expected. This move up might go on for longer than expected generally, or longer than is appropriate, and then we consolidate properly, and that's all perfectly fine. I'm very much in favour of bull markets, and this being a bull market. It might not be one that you saw in 2021 or something like that, but that's not generally what bull markets look like. I think between now and 2024 would be a time to maybe enter money into the market, but not particularly, get too excited about deploying it straight away. And think about dollar cost averaging, you can do that, but maybe just dollar cost averaging funds into various accounts for when I think we really do start to pick up pace next year. To be honest with you, you could look at this whole year 2023 as maybe one of an accumulation range, which could be quite a large range. To be fair, we could be coming back down for Bitcoin back into 20,000, maybe even the teens. We don't even know if there's going to be another black swan, because no one ever really knows. But there's reasons to think that there could be. Geopolitics, especially with China now, and who knows what's around the corner. But yeah, maybe shaving little funds off, having your account ready for, you know, lower prices. Maybe not today, maybe not next week, but somewhere down the line. Because if we do get another big move up, I wouldn't FOMO into that. I would never FOMO anyway. I would be looking for a bit more of a healthy, long-drawn consolidation that's handed to us by dollar strength. Which again sounds counterintuitive, really, when you think about the, you know, inflation generally coming down in America and them raising rates at a lower rate. It does sound counterintuitive, but that is generally what markets are. Markets like to price in things, don't they? They price in everything. Markets have priced in inflation before the inflation became a big deal. Inflation actually got to an extremely high level, and what did we find ourselves in? A bear market. So inflation coming down at the moment now, month on month, more or less, give or take. I know the CPI print yesterday was slightly hotter than expected, and the market's been trending up. So what's all that about? Markets pricing in advance, and the lowering, the inflation coming down. And so, yeah, we should expect markets to start to behave a bit more appropriately anyway, and not be so focused on CPI prints and raising of rates. I think that, you know, if you think about it in that context, inflation was low, inflation became high, inflation reached its peak. The holy grail of Bitcoin was supposed to be the hedge against inflation, but no, it was subject to everything else. And now that the inflation is going down, yeah, but you get the vibe, right? Hopefully you understand what I mean. Please let me know if you don't, and if you do, and that reminds me, please leave a comment and a like at this stage of the video. The algorithm loves it. They liked hearing what you had for breakfast. So why don't you tell me what your favorite album is? That's what all these other YouTubers do, isn't it? That, you know, that aren't crypto related. I always hear them say, "Oh yeah, leave me a comment. Tell me what color socks you're wearing." I know what you're doing. You're trying to increase your algorithm, and why the hell not? So you might as well just tell me, you know, what color socks are you wearing today? Because it helps me. And it's easy for you. Anyway, I'll leave it with you there, but thank you for watching, guys. I hope you have a nice day. Personally, I think it's going to be still a bit sideways, but those areas are marked off on the daily quite clearly. But over the next couple of weeks, provided the Forex doesn't basically start to continue with what looks like the beginnings of these larger trends, which is the inverse of what they're doing, I think that stocks and Bitcoin and crypto generally tries another high. So that is it in summary. Anyway, a long rambling video. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your patience. And we're doing a live stream tonight for those who want to join the Patreon. And if you want to do that, there's links in the description below. Thanks for watching, guys. Take it easy.